I mean, what we have now is an axis of evil: China, Russia, and Iran. This is the broadest threat than we've had since before the Berlin Wall came down.
Thank you guys so much for swinging by this evening for our weekly intel report and a continuation of our coverage of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. In the weeks leading up to Hamas's October 7th attacks on Israel, hundreds of the Palestinian Islamist militant fighters received specialized combat training in Iran, according to people familiar with intelligence related to the assault. Hundreds of Palestinian terrorists underwent, quote, specialized combat training in Iran weeks before the group's murderous onslaught against Israel, according to a Wednesday report in the Wall Street Journal. Israel has repeatedly accused Iran of being a key force behind the coordinated Hamas attack on Israel, in which it succeeded in disabling the high-tech Gaza border fence and streaming across the border to carry out its devastating assault on nearby communities, which included taking at least 224 people hostage. At least 500 Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists received specialized training from the IRGC Quds Force up to a month before the deadly October 7th massacre, says the Wall Street Journal. Again, this is kind of the same reporting, different source here. Again, so basically saying that all of these militants had proper training before they went into Israel to carry out those attacks. This is a pretty significant development here. Again, leading more heavily towards the possibility of Iran's direct involvement in the planning of these attacks. The White House on Monday said Iran was, in some cases, quote, actively facilitating rocket and drone attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups on U.S. military bases in Iraq and Syria, and President Biden has directed the Department of Defense to brace for more and respond appropriately. Quote, we know that Iran is closely monitoring these events, and in some cases actively facilitating these attacks and spurring on others who may want to exploit the conflict for their own good and for that of Iran. Despite their rhetoric, neither Iran nor Hezbollah want an escalation of war in the Middle East, and here's why. Let's take a look at this piece by The Guardian. It says the Lebanese front is unlikely. It wouldn't be in Iran's interest, as it probably would spark a U.S. intervention. I would argue that Lebanese front has already opened up. For the first time since 2006, the Lebanese are again facing the prospect of a devastating war with Israel. On the back of the current conflict in Gaza, much of the population does not want and knows it cannot afford such a war. Lebanon is still in the throes of an economic collapse that began in the year 2019. Yet Hezbollah, which dominates Lebanon's political scene, seems moved less by what its countrymen want than by the strategic priorities of its sponsor, Iran. The Iranians have worked painstakingly in the past decade to build up a redoubtable deterrence capability on Israel's border with Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza. Hezbollah realizes that a full-scale conflict might weaken its hold over Lebanon and will try to avoid such an outcome, but ultimately the party will follow Iran's lead. I think that's about it. I think that about sums up everything for this evening. If I missed anything, guys, send me a message. You can always PM me on Discord. You can always send me an email. I love reading your guys' emails. I read every comment. I read every message that's sent my way. Sometimes I get bombarded with them, so it takes me a little bit of time to get back to people, so bear with me. But to everybody that tuned in this evening, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Until next time, you are watching Nemico Network.
Nemico.